So Sen and welcome to project 70 of this course. So in this video we are going to be creating this random Captcha project by just using HTML5, CSS3 and JavaScript. Okay, so if I just click on this reload icon right here, so it will now gives us a random Captcha. Okay, so if I just write like LUHQ1 and then a lowercase t, and if I just click on this check, so here you can see it will now give us like nice Captcha matched. Okay, so it will disappear after 2 seconds. So then we have like MCD3 my capital Y, and if I just click on this check, so it will now give us like Captcha match one more time, and it will now just disappear and it will now give us a random Captcha. But in this case I'm going to provide a wrong Captcha, like a lowercase l and then 2 and then lowercase r f TW. Okay, and if I just click on this check, so here you can see it will now give us like a Captcha not match, please try again later. Okay, so if I just click on this reload one more time, and then let's just provide like CSWZPN0, and if you just click on it, so here you can see it will now give us Captcha match. So this is what we are going to be building by just using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So without wasting any further time, now let's jump right into our coder and write our code. So to do that, first of all, let me just create a folder, give a name of like 070 and Captcha project. Okay, so now inside this folder we are going to be creating 3 projects. The first one will be index.html, the second one will be just style.css, and now the third one will be app.js for JavaScript. Alright, so now let me just make it a bit bigger so that we can focus on our code. Now let me just write my doc type HTML in here and just write project, and now let's just link it with our CSS and also with our JavaScript. Okay, so now let me just hide this metadata from there, right click on it and open it with a live server. So now it will open our project in a live server. Okay, so now we are good to go. So the first thing I would do for HTML is I'm going to just write like a wrapper container. So wrapper, inside this wrapper container we are going to be creating our h1 with the class of like random Captcha. Okay, and now let's just underneath that we are going to be creating a div with the class of Captcha area, and inside this div we are going to be creating our container. Okay, inside that we are going to be writing just our span with the class of Captcha. Okay, so that's that. Now underneath this div we are going to be writing our button. So now let me just write a button with the class of reload button. Okay, inside that we are going to be also providing or I with the class of like fa and then fa reader. Okay, so now let me just get my, what do we call it, JS, and now let's just get our font awesome really quickly so that we can work with that. Alright, so now let me just search for like font awesome right here, font awesome, and inside that we are going to be getting our font awesome. Let me just quickly search. Alright, so 24 hour later give me this result. So now let me just click on this copy link and paste it underneath this title right here, and now let me just hide my metadata from there. And now once we save our file and go to our project, so it will now show us that icon. I don't know why it's not showing it right now. We have fa and then fa redo, save it, and now it will show us. Alright, so now here you can see we have this icon right here. So I'm going to say bye-bye to this one, cdn, and underneath this div we are going to be writing a form. It will go to like nowhere, and also let me just give him a class of like input and then area. Okay, so inside this form we are going to be writing our input with the type of text, and placeholder will be like just enter Captcha or whatever you want to pronounce it. And now let's just write our required, so it will be required, and then let me just write a button with a class of like check button. Okay, and here we are going to be just passing like a check. So underneath this div, finally let's just write our status text. So once we save it, and we are now totally done with this HTML side of code. So now let's just jump right into CSS, and now let's just style that a bit. So for CSS, the first thing I would do is I'll select everything, and I'm going to just provide like a margin of 0, padding of 0, and font size will be just like sans serif, come on, not font size, font family will be sans serif, and then we have a box sizing of border box. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just get my body, and inside this body we are going to be writing a display of flex, and justify content will be center, and align items will be also center. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just write a min height of like 100 VH. So once we save it, everything will be now totally at the center right here. Alright, so now we are done with the body. So now let's just get our wrapper container. So now let me just select that, and inside this wrapper container we are going to be writing our max width of like 80%. And now let me just write a background color of like C at 1 and then A54. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just provide a little bit of padding of like 7 rem and also 8 rems. So save it, and this is how it looks like right now. And now the next thing which you have to do is to select our H1, which is inside this div. So now let me just get there. So we have our wrapper, and then we have this H1 right here. So now let me just change the color to be like totally pure white, and font size will be like 33 pixels. Okay, and font weight will be just like, come on, font weight will be just like 500, and text align will be totally centered. Save it, and this is how it looks like right now. Now the next thing that you have to do is to get our Captcha area, which is this one right here. So we have to select our wrapper first of all, and now let's just write our Captcha area, or however you pronounce that word. Display will be flex, and then height will be just like 65 pixel, and margin will be just 30 pixel, and 20 pixel. Okay, so that's that. Now let's just write align items will be totally center, justify corner will be totally center. You know, I'm gonna bring this up above, so once we save it, and this is how it looks like right now. Okay, now the next thing that you have to do is to get our Captcha container, which is this one right here. So first of all, let me just get my Captcha area, and now inside there we have our Captcha container, and now let's just get that. Okay, so let me just give a height of like 100%, and the width will be just like 350 pixel, and user select will be set to none. Okay, and now let's just write a background of totally black. Position will be a relative, and border radius will be just like 5 pixels once we save it. And this is how it looks like right now, and it will be not selectable because we provide our user select to be none. Okay, so that's that. Now the next thing which you have to do is to get our Captcha right here, which is inside this Captcha container. So now let me just write like Captcha, just like that. And now let me just give him a little bit of position to absolute. So this one will be position relative. So we want this Captcha to be underneath, to be inside this Captcha container. So that's why we provide a position absolute to it. Okay, so now let me just get my left and then provide 60%. And also top will be just 50%, and width I'm gonna give them like 100%, so it will take the entire width. And now let me just change the color to be totally white. Okay, so font size will be like just 35 pixel, and later spacing will be just like 10 pixel, and text, not text but just transform will be now equals to translate, and now you want to provide minus 50% and also minus 50%. Okay, so now let's just provide our text shadow to like 0 0 and then 2 pixel, and then b1 b1 b1. Okay, so that's that. Now let's just provide our font family of sans serif, and you can choose whichever font you like. So once I save it, and this is how it looks like right now. Let me just wait for it. Alright, so now we are done with the Captcha. So now let's just get all of our buttons. So now let me just write wrapper and button, and here we're going to be just removing that border and outline as well. And now let's just give him a color of like 041, and then add 97. Okay, so that's going to be all color. And now let's just provide a background of totally white. So I'm going to just write FFF, and cursor will be pointer. Save it, and this is how the first button will look like. And now let's just wait for a Captcha to reload right here, and this is how it looks like. So now let's just first of all style this button, and then we are going to be styling this one. Alright, so to get our Captcha, so we have the class of this reload button right here. So now let's just get that. So I'm gonna write a Captcha area, and now let's just get our reload and then button. Okay, so once we get that, now the next thing that you have to do is to give a little bit of border radius of like 5 pixel, and width will be like 75 pixel, and height will be 100%, and also font size will be 23 pixels. Okay, and now margin left will be just like 20 pixels. So once we save it, and now this is how it looks like. Okay, so now the next thing which we have to do is to get our eye, and now let's just provide our transition to it a little bit. So for that we are going to be just getting our Captcha area, and now let's just get our eye right here, and transition will be just like for this transform, and 0.3 seconds is save it. Okay, so it will not show up right now because we didn't provide any hover effect to it and nothing. So now let me just get my input area, and now let's just get our reload button. And once we hover over it, so we want to just write, let me get my eye right here as well. So you want to just write transform of rotate of like 15 degrees. Okay, so that's that. So now the next thing which you have to do is to get our wrapper. So now let me get my wrapper, and also now let me get my input area, which is this input area right here. Okay, so I'm gonna give my height of like 60 pixel, and the width will be just like totally 100%, and position will be relative. So save it, and now this is how it looks like. Okay, so alright, so now we are done with the input area. Now the next thing that you have to do is to get our input right here, and now let's just style that a bit. I'm gonna just write like input area, and now let me just get my input in there, and now let me just give height of 100%, and also the width will be also 100%, and outline will be none because we want to remove that outline, and font size will be just 20 pixel. Okay, and now padding to the left will be just like 20 pixel, border radius will be just like 5 pixel, and border will be 1 pixel solid of like BF. So now we are done with this Captcha input right here. So now the next thing that you have to do is to just style our button right here. So now let me get there. So to get there, first of all, you're going to be using input area, and also we are going to be just getting our check button. Okay, so now let me just see check button right here. So that's that. We are going to be using a position of absolute, and then let me just provide a right of 7 pixel, and top will be like 50%. Font size will be just 17 pixel, and the height will be just like 45 pixel, and also let me just provide a little bit of padding of 0 and 20 pixel. And here we are going to be setting our opacity to 0, so it will allows us to just remove that button. So we are going to be just commenting out this code, and now the next thing that you have to do is to just write a pointer event, and it will be now set to none right now. Now let me just change this one to like background, and change the background to be like 041-897. Come on, let me just get this 7. All right, so now you're good. So now let me just get a color and provide a totally white color to it. Transform will be translate to the y-axis, and it will be like 50% translate. Okay, so once we save it, and this is how our button is looking like, and here you can see once we have our mouse over it, so it will not allows us to just click on this button. That's because of this pointer event of none. So if I just comment this line of code, and now here you can see our cursor will be changed to this one right here. Okay, so now let me just undo this one, and also opacity, so both of them will be gone. So the next thing which you have to do, not both of them, but this one will be gone. This one is because it's rendering, and now we are getting that. That's because of that font awesome. So that's that. Now the next thing which you have to do is to just write our input area and input valid. Okay, so once our input area and input is valid, so we want to get our check button, and we want to change the opacity to 1, and also pointer event will be now set to auto. Save it, and this is here we provide opacity of 0 and pointer event to none, and now we are changing it the opacity to 1 and pointer event to auto. So now if we save that, we still cannot see that because this is not active right now. I mean like valid right now. So we are going to be doing that once we jump right into a JavaScript. Now let me just write my wrapper right here, and then finally let's just write our status text, which is this class right here, which we provide at the end right here. So it is that div. Now let me just give him a display of none for now, and font size of just 18 pixels, and color will be just like FF and 0000 like 40, so it will give us like kind of a red color, and text align will be totally center, margin will be 20 pixels, 0 -5 pixel, and 0. So once we save it, and we cannot see that because we provided display of none to it. Okay, so we are going to be placing our text here, like or message text here, like yeah, you guessed a CAPTCHA, right or wrong. So we are going to be placing our text in here. Let me just write something in, like something 7, and we cannot see that because we provided display of none to it. Comment it out, and here you can see it will now give us the color of red, and also we can see this something right here. Okay, so that's that. Now let me just uncomment it out and also remove this text from there as well. And now let's just finally jump right into a JavaScript and provide our interactivity to it. So the first thing I would do is I would need a few things to get first of all. So the first thing I would just get is CAPTCHA. And it will be now equals to document.query query selector of this CAPTCHA. And now let me just get my reload button. So I'm going to just write like reload button. And it will be now equals to document.query selector of this reload button. Underneath that, we are going to be writing our input field, and it will be now equals to document.query query selector. And now let's just write our input in here. And now let's just write let on check button. So check button will be equals to document.query selector. Come on, query selector. That's why I like React a lot. And now let me just write like dot check button. Let's just write status of text. So static text will be like document.query selector, and this one will be our message area, like status text, and change this one to status. You know what? I'm gonna go with the text text and also text, and you know what? I'm gonna write it like so, the variable name. Alright, so now let's just make sure that we select everything. So for that, we are going to be writing our variable names in here. Duplicate it, and now let's just write our reload button, and also our input field, and also our check button, and also our status text, and save it. And now let me just open my console. So we have now selected everything the way we expect him to select. So we cannot see that. That's because we provided display of none to it. Anyhow, so now let's just remove that. And now let me just zoom out a bit, because we are going to be writing all characters. So we are going to be creating variable of all characters, and it will be now equals to, just the first one will be set to A. You know what? It will be an array of uppercase A. And now let me just write A, and then we have B through Z. So now let me just write B, C, D, E, F, G, and Z. Okay, so this is that, like we have letters from A through Z right here. And now let me write that in a lowercase. So now let me just write like A lowercase and B, C, and Z. Okay, so we are now done with the lowercase letters right here. First of all, we wrote our uppercase letters, and then we wrote our lowercase letters. So now let's just finally write our numbers from 0 through 9. So now I'm gonna just write like 0, 1, come on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and now we are done with this array. So once we save this file, so this is how this matrix will look like right now. So you know what, I'm gonna collapse it right now. So this is how we collapse this. So the first function I would create for this project is get CAPTCHA. So now let me just write like get CAPTCHA. Okay, so now let's just inside this function, we are going to be iterating over from let I equals to 0, I equals to 0, and I is less than 6, and then I plus plus. Okay, and now let me just get my random number. So I'll just write like random char, like random characters, and it will be now set to like that all characters, like this madness array. And we are now getting like mad.floor, and also inside that we are going to be writing our mad.random method in here. And now let me just divide that by all characters.length. Okay, so that's that. Now the next thing that you have to do is that we have to add this. Let me just get my CAPTCHA.inner text, and it will be equals to this plus equals to this like random chars, like random characters. So now if I just save that, and now let me just zoom out a bit, and this is how it looks like right now. So now the next thing which you have to do is that we have to attach event listener on this this check buttons. Let me just attach this event listener like check button dot add event listener, and once we click on this button, so we want to call this function. Okay, so inside there, first of all, let's just print the default behavior, and also status dot text will be now equals to style dot display of, now it will be set to block, because here we wrote a display of none right here. Now let me just show you that really quickly. And come on, where the hell is, all right, so here you can see we have this display of none right here, and now we are setting that to display of block. Okay, so that's the first step. Now the next thing which you have to do is to get the input value, and it will be now equals to that input field dot value dot split. Now let's just split it first of all, and then finally join it. Okay, so once we save that, now let's just check if or input dot value, not just input dot value but input value, or input val is equals to this captcha dot inner text, not HTML, so inner text. So you want to just check like the status text dot style, and color will be now equals to this kind of color. Now let me just write it like 4BDB and then 2EC. This will be the color. And now the next thing that you have to do is to just get our status text and provide the inner text for it, and it will be now equals to like nice and captcha match to captcha match. And now here we're going to be just passing our set timeout function right here. Let me just zoom in a bit so that we can just focus on one function. So we have this set timeout function, and now we are now calling that. Inside this set timeout function, we are going to be writing our status text, and now we are going to be changing the style of display to be like nothing. And also the input field dot value will be also set to nothing, and also this captcha dot inner HTML dot inner text will be also set to nothing. And also let's just call our get captcha function right here, which we have created right here underneath there. So if that's true, then run this function. If that's not true, so then we are going to be writing our else block. And by the way, I forgot to provide the time, so it will take like 4 seconds. Okay, so that's that. Now let's just provide our final check, which will be like status text dot style dot color, and now you want to set that to like FF000 and our wrong captcha, like a red color, which we have provided right here already. This is that color. And now let me just write like status dot inner text. Come on, inner text will be fine. And now let's just write like captcha not matched. And now let's just write like please try again later. Okay, and then set face. No, I'm not gonna add any set faces. All right, so now we are done with this check button as well. So the final thing which you have to do is to attach event listener on or reload button. So we are going to be writing add event listener, and now let's just, once we click on it, so we want to call this function. And we are not going to be providing much, but we are going to be just setting the inner HTML of this captcha to be like nothing, and also get captcha. So now if we save this, and if I click it, and now let's just write like we have O R U capital L, we have 5 and J. If I just click on it, captcha not matched. Now let me just write like without spaces O R U L 5J and check it. All right, so we've provided spaces in there. That's because our captcha did not match, and it will now gone, and now it will give us a new one. So we have lowercase y, uppercase y, we have B, 6, 9 and H. Okay, so if I just check it, so nice captcha, and 4 seconds later both of them will be gone. Now let's just write something else. So now let me just write something else. Okay, if I just check that, we'll say like captcha not match, please try again later. Okay, so everything is working the way we expect him to work. Let me just click this button one more time. So instead of like Z, I'm gonna write like FFG40E. And if you check there, we'll say like captcha not match, please try again later. And if I just provide a lowercase z, and if I check it, nice, captcha match. So that's that. Alright, so now we are totally done with this project. So I think that was it about today's video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.